2 bottles if we're feeling dangerous.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
You're damn right it is, because, Jet, you are black and you are man.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga!
What do you get when you mix a snazzy soundtrack, occasional cringy dialogue, mega huge corporate marketing, and a surprise sneak peek to the next installment of the Spy Kids franchise? If you said live action space dandy, then I guess you wouldn't be too far off. But I would bet that you probably didn't even know that this existed. And unfortunately, that wouldn't even be the point of this video also, so. The Cowboy Bebop Netflix live action remake seems to be the internet's new punching bag on Netflix's second pursuit in attempting the creation of live action anime. And of course, there's a painfully obvious crowd of critics and fans who would most likely say the same phrase on that Netflix hasn't learned a single thing from the 10 out of 10 masterpiece known as Death Note. And I would agree to an extent with the popular opinion, but I can't deny or remotely even say that I personally didn't have high hopes for this remake of the critically acclaimed anime classic to succeed. Cause yeah, y'all are right. Netflix should learn from their mistakes of their previous failed attempts. Because then you would know that the company is actually trying to get better at stuff like this, and they want to have a good reputation going forward when they continue to make live action and adaptations in the future. Right? I mean, surely the general reception of this can't be that bad. Like, come on, Netflix can't mess this up twice. Why do I even try anymore? Now, despite what a lot of people think about this live action remake, and I mean a whole lot of people, my opinions on the entirety of this live action are actually quite mixed. And by that, I believe that this live action adaptation is isn't all that bad. Okay, look, let me actually explain myself here, okay? I still agree with the fact that this adaptation is stinky in quite a lot of areas. It's not really a show I would pat on the back or defend to the dead like I'm in a Twitter war or something. Hell, I would even go as far to say that the one League of Legends show that came out recently is miles better than what I spent my weekend on indulging into. Which is really saying something because I freaking hate League of Legends. Now for the handful of y'all who may be sitting in your little seat wondering, well, Daiki, what the hell does Arcane have to do with the Cowboy Bebop Netflix remake? Well, actually, they don't even have anything in common. Really, I'm just comparing the two things in my life that give me a severe case of terminal brain disease. But going back on the topic, because this intro is already getting hella long already, I believe that concerning the live action Netflix adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, under that huge pile of trash bags that y'all see in this live action remake, I personally see a gold bar just hiding underneath waiting to be unveiled. And that's where it's time to get on this little joyride and get right into this shit. Anime versus live action. Now, to address the elephant in the room that's been taking up all the space here, this is one of the most controversial topics going into this video because everyone is simply wondering the same question as you are, which is, does the Cowboy Bebop live action remake stand alone as an individual property separate from its original counterpart? And to keep it fairly blunt, I'd say no, not really. But before I jump into all my cynical generalizations on everything that Netflix did wrong, I do have to make the confession that it's been a very long time since I've seen the original 1998 anime, and going into the 2021 remake, I won't lie, it was a little difficult to remember every single scene in detail that was changed to this live action remake. Although I personally saw this as a positive thing because now I'm able to watch the whole 10 episode show without needlessly feeling the urge to go force myself and compare the anime to the live action every single 5 seconds. And surprisingly, it actually works, I won't even lie. Because now I had the outlook with zero expectations and someone who seems to be going into a new show blind, you know what I mean? This really showed out in Bebop's first episode because I genuinely actually enjoyed the first episode. I didn't think it was just good, it was actually pretty great even. Throughout the whole 50 minutes, Netflix gave me the hope that maybe live action adaptations are finally getting better. We've officially reached perfection in this department. It felt like listening to a new album. To be more specific, that one new Drake album called Certified Boy Lover, where the first few tracks seem to get you in, you know, you start to believe that the whole album is actually like going to be good.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Because in Bebop's case, while the first episode was just a seemingly great opener, episodes 2 through 10 just gradually declined every single freaking time. What made me really take a liking for the live action remake's first episode was essentially how self-aware it felt. You could see that Netflix was almost trying to say through your device or TV screen that, hey, we know not everyone is going to like this, and yes, we understand that, but that's okay, because at least we tried our best, right? You know, can I get an A for effort, boys? At least I can say that the action throughout didn't fail to entertain me with each episode, because I'm not gonna lie, seeing John Cho playing Spike and throwing it down was pretty cool, and it didn't manage to bore me with every shootout or just hand-to-hand martial arts sequence that occurred throughout the whole series. But as you continue to watch the series, Netflix began to get a little too ambitious with this project and do things that felt a little over the top, so to speak. If I was going to make a comparison to the old Netflix Death Note movie that was released about 3 to 4 years ago, I would make the statement that while the Death Note live action was trying too little, Cowboy Bebop was trying too hard. And by trying too hard, you probably have a vague idea of what I really mean by that, but seriously, when you feel the need to unnecessarily make multiple tweets comparing your live action to its OG counterpart, y'all need to take a seat and get off your high horse, alright? Because y'all tried, but y'all ain't moving like that. You hear, like, y'all don't be swinging your hands in that kind of territory, alright? To start off my topic, expressing my main point is basically the remake of the opening that the bros at Netflix did. I, as well as many other people, personally thought this opening was freaking fire. In my opinion, I felt like the vibe of the remake opening felt true to what the original opening was. And if you disagree with me, then bro, I don't give a shit, bro. Suck my dick. But my only complaint going to the opening was just the fact that why is my man running like that? Like, as cool as this opening looked and felt, there's no denial that since Netflix was trying their best to replicate the vibe and feel of the original anime, some scenes that can only look good in the animated format looked very clunky in the live action form. And mind you, this is what it looked like for mostly the rest of the whole series. To be honest, I'm not sure how many times I gotta reference this video just for people to understand the point, but since I don't feel like repeating myself over and over, I'll just let the clip play for you. Changing up a few things involving the manga to the point where it's not a drastic change is a better and more interesting approach in making a live action adaptation, in my opinion. Well said, Daiki in the past. Now look, I get that Netflix wanted to keep the audience as happy as possible and not permanently scar a fanbase like they did 4 years ago, but they have to understand that things that need to be left in animation land and things that can be brought up into this territory of this reality, you feel me? Which is the same exact way that I feel about the upcoming One Piece live action that Netflix is gonna release soon. Although this one I have a slight tinge of hope that this one might actually succeed. I'm literally clutching on my last life that this might actually succeed. And that video discussing that topic should be out shortly, if I can freaking finish it, god damn it. The main criticism that I've seen many people grasp onto ever since the release of this was just how unnecessary of a project this was to make. If Netflix was going to be as faithful to the original series as possible, then in turn there's really no point in remaking a live action remake in the first place. Because then at that point, you just go ahead and watch the original anime. I find it quite ironic how Netflix isn't able to directly change the source material from its original source to a large degree, but apparently it's perfectly willing to change an anime from what was originally a dark, chill, occasionally amusing sci-fi noir.
We haven't had a fancy meal in weeks.
Fancy.
Yeah, look at you, actually smiling.
Yeah, probably at the prospect of unlimited fake cheesy bread.
To some shit I'd see off of the Big Bang Theory. Acting. You can tell that the writers responsible for this really wanted to make the relationship between Faye, Spike, and Jet really quirky and amusing like how occasionally it was back in its original series. Sadly, it's unfortunate to say that the acting didn't always live up to what these writers seemed to have or originally tended to do. Now, this segment of the video isn't a huge diss towards the acting of the whole 10 episode season, because surprisingly I didn't have the biggest complaints with the roles nor the way these actors played their roles, except for a few minor issues. First of all, John Cho as Spike Spiegel. I believe he was great. Some people will probably agree with me too on that matter. Some people may disagree. I don't really care either way though. Sure, maybe at times Netflix made this version of Spike seem like a dick, especially towards some elderly people, not gonna lie.
I'm walking out of here! Oh, she dies.
Oh, she dies. Wait, that's your hostage?
Spike.
Was she like 80? I mean, she looks like she's led a very full, rich life, haven't you, man?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
But as a whole, I personally felt that as Spike Spiegel himself, he did the best he can, and in my eyes, his work was extremely top-notch. Mustafa Shakir's role as Jet Black was some of the best I've seen in this whole live-action adaptation. He's arguably the best character in the whole show, the way he stayed true to the original Jet Black and how entertaining he was. His serious behavior juxtaposed to Spike's less serious and more playful and cocky type behavior makes me believe that I'm seeing a perfect portrayal of what Jet should be if he were turned into a live action. The only thing I would say is the obvious jab at getting a black actor to play Jet simply because his last name is Black. I'm guessing if that's the case with how Netflix is going to cast these characters, and I bet if Netflix ever thinks about making a Winnie the Pooh live action adaptation, they're going to make Tigger black simply because his name rhymes with Nick. I wasn't the most fond with how Netflix portrayed the character of Faye Valentine in this live action remake, and I swear to God, if you're assuming it's just because of the size of her tits, and I'm going to beat the living shit out. Netflix version of Faye felt more like some type of girl boss, or more of the type of I'm an independent woman and nobody's allowed to come near me type of role. I mean, I doubt it's Daniela Pineda's fault as to why this was the case, and I completely blame the the writing team for the type of dialogue that was given to her at the end of the day. The other characters in this show also have their own issues, like what in God's name did they do to my boy Vicious? Oh my god. The best way I can describe this is basically if Lord Farquaad had a growth spurt while doing the fusion dance with Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. The casting for Grant is another controversial and heavy topic I really don't feel like dipping my fingers in, especially since it literally caused World War III over on Twitter, but considering this is the same actor who literally is responsible for this article, makes me assume that they aren't really to be taken seriously. And last but not least, the case with Ed.
No. Spike Speed. Not anymore.
Yes, you are. You're Spike. Cowboy. Bounty hunter for hire.
Look how they massacred my boy.
I now see why they hid Ed from literally every single trailer Netflix released. I mean, there's just so much that could be said about Ed, and I feel like the general scope of the internet shares the same opinion on what think of Ed. But since I'm in a fairly good mood and I don't feel like spreading negativity, I'm awarding Netflix the ha 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 this can't possibly be real award from yours truly. Pacing and storyline. My final criticism towards the Cowboy Bebop remake center around the storyline and Netflix chose to use to fit as much as possible content they could into a mere 10 episodes. I personally believe that the changes they made didn't harm the story to a huge degree, but it was a little interesting the way that they did it. To start off, the show begins following the first episode of the original anime in a pretty normal format, and it seems like that's the format of the pacing they're going to use for the entirety of this series. But already in the second episode, they immediately jump into the whole arc involving the Syndicate and everything it has to do concerning Spike's past. Now, there wouldn't really have been an issue if this was done right, considering the fact that most would encourage writers to slightly divert from the story so that their live action remake becomes its own separate thing. But sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case here. I personally believe that it was a bad idea for the remake to jump into the Syndicate arc, and I would have preferred if they kept it episodic like how it was for the first few episodes of the anime. The Syndicate arc feels like something that should be held for season 2, really, especially how much it delves deep through Spike's past with the group and his relationship with our antagonist Vicious, and including Julia as well. Maybe Netflix had already assumed that this remake wasn't going to be a huge success and had already decided to squish as much content as possible as to see how it performs. I have no idea. But in the end, I would be open to season 2 if Netflix ever thinks about making one. I personally believe that compared to the Death Note live action, Cowboy Bebop takes a small step up, and by small, I mean pretty freaking small, not gonna lie. Hopefully the Yu Yu Hakusho remake that Netflix is making and the One Piece remake can be a larger step up. Hopefully.